Hi,
Hi there, I'm Rene.
I'm Jen. Thank you for joining us for this edition of Marriage Plus Business.
We just want to state that we're not marriage counselors. So,
Oh, yeah, just in case anyone's talking about that. And why did we come up with that? Because we went through some branding critiques with some branding gurus that we know through our global leadership program, two of them, Megan and Christy. And they were like seeing our Marriage Plus Business thing. They hadn't watched any of the videos, but they were like, "Are you guys marriage counselors?" It's like, no, but we're married
and we
happily.
should put it happily for sure.
Yeah, and we work together, and we thought it would be cool to talk
put a
about.
disclaimer on the website? We don't have anything like that.
We don't have a disclaimer.
No.
So, but we're not promising anything. We're just sharing
I know
what life is like.
But I can see how someone might see marriage plus business. And
Yeah.
It may not be necessarily clear because it kind of sounds like it might be something else. But
right.
Kind of leaves it open, I suppose. Maybe.
So that brings up this week's theme: rebranding and processes. So they don't necessarily look like they fit together, but they kind of do. Like I am looking at rebranding everything, making everything fresh and new because we're going to be targeting new vertical markets for Rockstar Marketing. Yeah, I already dominate the auto repair industry, which is awesome. Now we want to start going into the new industries: medical, accounting, attorneys, engineering, general construction, and consulting services, and dental. And so we had these two gurus, Megan and Christy, thank you, who looked at what we were doing, and it was like, well, you need to do this to make it more amenable to that particular audience. And then you need to do this for funnels, and you need to do various things. And so since we're kind of looking at all of the Rockstar Marketing properties, that's also letting us look at some of our clients' stuff that we're helping with. Is it affecting any of your art properties at this point? Probably not, because that's pretty dialed
that's
in.
Pretty separate too.
Yeah.
It's pretty separate change from what you're already doing.
Right. Just freshening it up.
Right.
And then because we're going through this rebranding, giving it a fresh look, because this is the thing. I don't know about you guys, but like for me, once I have something that I like, I tend to keep it for a long time. And this one, in a good way, likes to change things up a lot. So I'm really lucky to have you helping me change the look and feel, because really that's your imagination, and I think it looks fantastic. Because it's like, I know to get out of his way, because I'm not the designer, and I know what looks good, but I don't know how to direct that. So I know that he's going to take good care of the look and the feel. But anyway, what it did was it also inspired me to get on my computer and run some videos showing video processes to the Rockstar Squad about how to do this process, how to do that process. And so I came up with like 10 different process videos to help show the nitty gritty of how we get certain things done on various projects.
Sure.
So I feel like 2020, we're on fire getting all these things in order so we can really stretch into our vision of the new year.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
it's good to freshen things up and revisit, especially when it has been several years, because that's the hardest thing sometimes, is being able to stand back and even realize that you need a change. And like, you probably wouldn't have done it if you didn't have the coaching that you're doing now, and the feedback and that aspect of the process that you're going through with your coaches. So it's valuable to freshen things up every now and then.
Yeah, and it's also important to remember that like sometimes we get into where we are serving our clients so much that we forget to do the same thing for ourselves. So I have been marketing and branding for other people, and I've actually forgotten to do it for myself.
I don't think you've forgotten. You're just busy doing your own thing.
Yeah. The cobbler's children don't have shoes, right? Yeah. The chef does not want to go home and make his or her own food at the end of the night. She wants to eat a pizza. So it's kind of funny how that sometimes happens. But You know,
Yeah.
you do a pretty good job though of like doing the work for our clients, but then also to reserving time for yourself to
Oh, well, you have to.
do your thing because that's your happy
I think
place.
you have to. I think business owners should be working to play and not, you know, playing to work, or however that works. So I think it's important to have self care and make sure that like you're doing something that you're passionate about, and which could be your business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And lots of people, business owners, are supposed to work on their business like nonstop, and you kind of have to, especially if you're the owner. But there's got to be something else that like keeps you excited about
Yeah.
outside of your business, because I think it's important to get away and get out of that to kind of feed your soul,
Right.
you know. That's where I'm at when it comes to my art. I should say that's where I've always been at when it comes to my art, because there's always like going to be that time to be able to disengage or disconnect from what I'm doing and be able to, you know, work on something that allows me to just kind of reset. And I think that's important.
Yeah. So what are some of your processes in your work? Like,
I keep a list. Everyone's got a to-do list, right? My to-do list is actually in a little notebook, a little spiral bound notebook, so I can always look back.
mm-hmm.
I have a planner, a planner, a 12-month planner, and it's I add these little tabs to it, and it's for each month, so I can quickly schedule something. And I just recently started keeping a work log, which is I also have like electronic versions of these things. So I have like an Excel file that is a spreadsheet that has like client names and then like projects on there and start times and end
I
times.
do a lot of stuff in spreadsheets as well.
Yeah, where appropriate. But the one thing I started doing on top of all that was I kept, and this might be just something that's probably excessive, is I have another calendar that is a work log. And what the value to me is in using something that's handwritten is that I can easily call it up, because it's literally at my fingertips. It's almost like now with the type of work we do on computers nowadays, the computer is just as cluttered as a cluttered desk can be. And even to a certain extent with file management, you can get extremely organized, but I don't think like if I have something like written down, like there's nothing faster than being able to like literally take 10 pages of like 3 months worth of work and just like flip through. And so the work log is not as accurate, but it allows me to see what I worked on any given day of the month. So and I started this mid January. So I went out and got another journal, divided it basically into, no, I did not divide it into anything. So my planner is one aspect of my process, which is like dates, meetings, events, and then the work log is like logging down like what clients I did work for, because then I could easily see at a moment, at a full, you know, glancing through this blog of what I did. Whereas the Excel digital file has very specific details of what I did. Like, you know, on Monday morning, I worked from 8 to 10 on X. And then from 11:30 to 1, I worked on Y. And it has very specific things. So I think each has its own benefit, because what I can do digitally is allows me to, let's say if I need to tally up hours, I can do that easily. Whereas the log reminds me of certain things and I can look back. I also use it as a way to mark ahead when to check on certain client project, how they're coming along in the process, especially when I send something out to proof. I can say I sent something out to proof today, and I can go in my planner and mark 3 days later, follow up. And it's so easy to do that. Like again, digitally, I know there's so many programs and apps out there that you can have your computer ring up, but I think part of the point for me is to get to a stage where I'm not relying on the digital aspect, but relying on an actual like almost like journal that I can pull up at any time with me. And I only keep the journal with me here at the office, right, home office. Right, I don't plan to take anything with me ever of that nature that's handwritten, because it's just a process I use while I'm here. And if we're like traveling, as we will be in Maui next month in February.
Yay, Maui.
Everything's going to be digital. So
Yeah.
I don't know how much work we'll be doing over there. There might be some work we're doing, but part of my process won't be applicable over there. So a lot of my process involves a lot of hands-on type materials. So I would say that it could probably be leaned down, but like over the course of a year when I started working on for myself, I had things I thought that I would use one way, but ended up using them in a different way because I thought like I would do this. So, and it turned into something else that still worked, but not in the way I had planned it to. So a lot of my processes have to do with lists and keeping track of where things are in an analog sense, writing stuff down.
No, I agree with you. I have a stack of scrap paper. Instead of recycling it, I use it as my notes, and I write down the day and here's the Rockstar Marketing to-do list. Here's the regular personal to-do list. Here's the stuff that I need to do for training and homework. And like I take notes, and yeah, I have everything on my calendars online, and I have all the documents in Google Docs and such. But yeah, you're right. I love writing it out, checking it off, marking down how much time I spent on each thing manually, because I can always find it, and I save those per month, and I just, it's like a stack. And so like at the end of the year, I've got like a stack.
Oh, wow.
And then I put it in the year box.
Oh, that's cool.
And then that
We're essentially
way,
kind of doing the same thing.
I'm doing the same thing. It's just it's on scrap paper versus a formal notebook.
I've got my second book. Like the first one says like 2020.
Yeah.
And the second journal is 2019. Then the next journal says 2020. So who knows? Like at the end of like doing this for several years, I'll probably have a whole shelf full of what I did in 2019. And it was fun. It's like I don't journal. Jen does journaling, but like for me, I guess I would consider the work I do is very important to keep track of like what I'm doing, so that way I have my own checks and balances, I guess, to see what projects took, because it's a learning process, learning process, trying to kind of figure out my own overall processes when it comes to how much to charge for this or what to quote. Something takes longer than expected, and why did it? And I think when I write it down, it's always a good way to have a record, be able to refer to it. Yeah, because my computer, like right now, I try to be super clean with it, but it's like it's almost inevitable that you'll have files like duplicated, and you'll have a working file for a client that's for some reason categorized under this folder, and the same file is also like in another category that I created that I forgot about 6 months ago.
Right.
And it's
Guilty.
it just creates like this unordered, it's very unordered in a way. And to clean up your computer would take, like, you can just take a day and like figure out how much crap you have in there that you can clean out.
Yeah, I'm doing screenshots of images all the time, just so I
that
can
gets
quickly.
Messy too.
And I try to I have them categorized by client. So like, let's just say, I've got the big folder, and then I've got like the subfolders, and then all the client folders underneath that by the client name, and then whatever image I've used for them. And it can get messy.
It can get tricky, yeah.
It can get really messy. And then sometimes I forget to name them, and I'll have the same image multiple times, but they'll all have different names, or they'll all be like screenshot this particular date.
I don't think we're the only ones that
right? We're not the only ones that have this. But it is interesting how systems and processes kind of help you with your sanity. But then the reason why I did my video tutorials for my team is we have several new team members, and one of which is asking, like, one who's a friend of the ones that's been with me for a long time is like, oh, could you train me? Which is super cool. But that's the engagement of two people going through a training that maybe I could speed up that process if I just video me doing it, and then it'll allow them to be faster and more productive and just kind of take some of the questions out. But it's interesting too, because like, we want to streamline and document, because if you don't get it out of your head and if you don't get it on some kind of paper, how on earth is the team supposed to know what to do? And so I'm trying to make sure that I document everything and put that in a format that's easy to reach. And you were kind enough to create an unlisted web page for that.
Yeah, because I think you created these videos and you uploaded them to YouTube, and part of that process was inviting them from YouTube so that they
See
could
private
and so we
videos.
made that process even a little more direct by creating like an
unpublished or a
unpublished
private protected
page on our
website
website
page.
that has links to it that they can now just reference the one page.
The one library.
Because even emails get messy, let's face it. Like,
oh gosh.
you sent those 10 emails, and I'm sure those people, like, there's probably another 10 emails that have like landed on top of that. So it's easy.
Yeah, it's so true. And then that's the other thing too. Like, every person has their own style and preference for how they want to communicate. And there are so many different ways to communicate with people, right? So it's like, okay, do I send this person a text? Okay. Do I leave them a message? Okay. Do I send them an email? Yes. And then, like, you've done 3 things, and then they'll say, well, why didn't you do it on this one? It's like, like on Slack or on Hack and Play or, FaceTime or something. You know what I mean? Like, several people like to communicate on the phone. Others want nothing to do with the phone.
I
Some
think
people,
that just depends on the group and what the objective is, because we learned, like, if you don't know what Slack is and what Hack and Plan is, basically Slack is like this way for groups to communicate, kind of like on a message board system, I would say, kind of like a forum. Kind of seems like a forum, but it's for a specific group who are working together. And then, excuse me, the Hack and Plan is kind of like basically like an online a job
project management
where you can like
thing.
assign tickets and have
see if it's in progress.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I totally, like, as soon as like our person we're working with that group explained to us how this works, like, I can totally see it, because coming from where I was in commercial printing, we had job tickets which we would scan at different stations so that the master program that that basically is accessed through everyone who's working for the company by way of placing orders, placing paper orders for print jobs, scheduling jobs. Everyone references this one software that can basically keep track of the ticket along the job ticket or work order throughout the entire process, from order entry through to delivery, and you can see where everything is at any one time.
Yeah, that's a smart process.
It's an automated. It's a great way to for everyone to see and know what's going on all at the same time.
Yeah, I'm turned on to it too. And then Slack is a great communicator. It's a communication forum.
I guess Slack, I would say, is like, it cuts out, like, if you were to do email communication, that could just get so incredibly bogged down and really muddled and muddied because of the nature of email. It's just stuff like just starts stacking. But like with Slack, it's like your own message board for a group.
Well, I've got a couple clients that will send me text messages of photos that they took so I can post it onto their social media sites. And that's cool, but I almost wish that they emailed it to me, because I find that I categorize things via email more succinctly under the client, and I have different tags.
You have to take
for
extra
emails
steps to send that picture to your email. And
or I have to like airdrop it to my phone. So I'm not complaining. It's just that, again, we all have different ways that we prefer. And it makes total sense. If you're on your phone, you take a picture, then you just text it. But for me to do anything with it, I have to upload it to my computer. I suppose I could do it straight to the social media channel. I could go onto Hootsuite, and I have tried it, but I find that I have a more robust system at my fingertips when I'm on the desktop version of Hootsuite versus when I'm on the phone version. Yeah, exactly. So I like the robustness and the visual that I get when I'm on the desktop, because I can really make sure that everything is going out. But yeah, I mean, systems and processes, right? It's how the world runs.
Yeah, and when people are in different processes, it's just a matter of being able to. You kind of have to you have to jump on different types of methods and be on top of each one and realize, oh, this is an image and it came in through here, so therefore to funnel it to where I need it to go, it's got to go through step 1, 2, 3.
True.
And then so on and so forth.
True.
For another process. And that's just the nature of what we're doing, because when it comes to digital and technology, everyone has their preferred program, their preferred app, their preferred device.
Right.
And that's just the way the world is working right now in the digital landscape.
Yeah, it's true.
There are standards, I think, as far as for maybe what industry you're in. But by and large, because of what we're doing, things can change just about as fast and as quickly as the technology itself does.
Right.
So going from written word with images to video coming from cell phones that are really nice to some cell phones that don't shoot as well to
and voice searches
and voice up and then further and further along this evolution of technology
and the
software.
systems and processes that we write down today may not work, or we may not be using the same formatting or devices or tools 5 years from now. So does the entire system change, or do we just tweak it? So it's a fascinating little thing. I'm kind of curious what your processes are in your job, So I'm wondering, do we have any tips and tricks that we want to share? I think we've been kind of talking about it.
Yeah, we've been talking about it.
But for me, I love to make sure that I write the bullet points of today's to-do list down on a piece of paper. And then that way I feel like I can at least have a visual, check it off. Yep, I did that. Oh, I didn't get to it. So I'll do a circle around the thing that I didn't get to. So that circle jumps out at me, and then I can put it on the next day's to-do list. That's how I kind of do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you for pending stuff?
I've always, in fact, I just found this out, if I can spit this out, that I've always been able to figure out what is the most important thing to work on versus what's the most urgent thing. And I read somewhere that just because it's urgent doesn't mean it's important.
Good point.
Of course, that's a two-way street, really. To the person that's begging and knocking on your door, it's extremely urgent, but how important is it? So a lot of times I'm able to work on multiple things, but understand that certain things can kind of be pushed, can be pushed off on. And sometimes just because I can bang something out really super fast doesn't necessarily mean that that's what I need to focus on at the moment. Because whatever I work on, there are ramifications. If something that is going to say takes longer, if I were to start it right now, then it might affect things 2 or 3 days down the road that I would need to bang out really fast. So in essence, you can't bang out everything at the same time. So therefore, I kind of have to pick and see,
pick and choose which is the most.
Yeah, because even though the thing that is the most urgent, if I were to work on 3 things that were urgent, then that could
none of them are urgent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, in fact, that was one thing a coworker of mine said back when I was working in printing.
This is urgent.
That's the thing. Yeah, we had a production board, and we put red tags on all these job ticket tags up on a board, and they all had red tags. And he said, well, they all have red tags, so that means that none of them are important.
Well, they are.
They are, but that's the thing. It's well, then you got to start working fast, and sometimes you can miss things or make a mistake. So
yeah,
part of my process is being able, and I'm still learning is trying to discern.
Well, here's another process tip. For example, every month we write blogs for our clients. And so the blog goes out on the 1st of the month. We like that the following month's blog is finished by the 15th. So for example, January 1st, the blog gets published. Okay, great. So when do we need to work on the February blog? The February blog needs to be finished January 15th, so we can go through the editing process with the client, the approval, and uploading it to the website, so that February blog can be posted and promoted on all the channels on the 1st of the month. And then the cycle again continues. We create the next blog for March up to the 15th of February, go through the whole process, get it uploaded, get it approved. It goes live on the 1st of March, et cetera, et cetera. And so same thing with our social media posts, for our social media posts. And I like to do these processes, and I like to know what I need to do by a certain clock or a certain date, because it reduces my chaos. It reduces my freaking out, like, oh my God, last minute. So for example, we are in the last week of January, and I see that we have some social media posts that need to be created and posted for February, March, April. And so I always tell my team, please do like a block of several months at a time. That way we're not rushing, because when we rush, we tend to get sloppy, and sloppy is not acceptable. So, you know, if you can schedule everything out, say for example, if I need things by February 1st, don't wait until the last week of January to get all that stuff done. Do it earlier so you can have it scheduled. And then if you've gone through and you've had your posts all planned out and scheduled through April, then you can start looking at doing May through August, maybe like, you know, March. You can start doing that in March, and then you have time in April to start scheduling out. It just pieces things out. It reduces the chaos. So that's what I like to do.
Yep. And everyone has their own process, but it's helpful to know exactly how certain people work, so that we can like understand and just see what's going on in our worlds.
Yeah, exactly.
So
thank you so much for hanging out with us and listening about systems and processes. I'm not sure how sexy this topic is, but I think it's sexy because it keeps me on top of things, and it keeps you on top of things. So I hope this was helpful. Yeah. Alrighty. Thank you so much for watching. This is Jen.
This is Rene. We will see you on the next one.
Yay. Bye.
Bye.